Okay, it's time now to take a look at what's grabbing headlines in the French papers. Florence Villeminot is with us in studio.
Hey, Eve.
Hi, Florence. We're going to start, I believe, with the Catholic paper La Croix. It's focusing on the Ministry of the Armed Forces, set to unveil a new plan to help families of military personnel.
That's right, and La Croix got a sneak peek of this family plan, and La Croix seems quite satisfied, actually, with what's in this plan. If we take a look at their front page today, you can see they're saying that this plan that will be outlined by the Ministry of the Army, Florence Parly, and they say that the malaise of military families has been heard. Now, of course, the French military has been stretched thin, particularly in the wake of the 2015 terrorist attacks. Military families in recent months have actually been staging demonstrations to sound the alarm on the difficult working conditions, but also just the conditions that are difficult for everyday life for military families. And so they had really been eagerly awaiting a concrete plan of action by the government.
So tell us a bit more. What is the concrete parts of this plan?
Well, there's a 12-point plan, Eve. You can read all about it in La Croix, which outlines these 12 key measures that should accompany families and improve living conditions. The idea, first of all, is to better inform families so that they can organize their day-to-day lives in a less stressful way. For instance, many of the families interviewed in this article say it's really stressful not knowing where family members will be posted. And so, according to this new plan, they will be informed more time in advance as to just where they're going to be going, how long they're going to be there. There's also going to be more help for these military families in terms of childcare, in terms of finding housing, free Wi-Fi as well. That's another key measure here. Being informed is very important. Now, the plan is also aimed at better reflecting today's society. For instance, there will be aid for soldiers who are separated or divorced, for instance. And also, there'll be help for soldiers who are raising their children on their own, or just geographically separated from their partners, because sometimes partners don't want to move because they want to keep their jobs, etc. Now, the whole plan represents a budget of about 300 million euros over 5 years, and Florence Parly, so the Minister of the Armed Forces, has promised concrete actions starting in 2018.
Okay, we'll keep a close eye on that. Moving on to another story, Florence. The plight of a cross in one small town in Brittany is getting some coverage. It could be removed.
It could be removed. Let's take a look at the front page, well, not the front page, an article in Libération which shows this cross. So this is the town of Ploermel, and it's in Brittany, and it's at the heart of a bitter row about secularism. Now, what you can see here is this statue. So it represents the Pope, former Pope John Paul II, and France's highest administrative court, the Conseil d'État, has, well, it's essentially deemed that everything can stay except for the cross. So the Pope can stay, the arch there can stay, but the cross has to be removed. Why is that? Well, because it violates the law of 1905 that essentially imposes a strict separation between the church and the state. So this is the loi de laïcité, which is a very big thing here in France. So the town has 6 months to remove it. As you can imagine, Catholics in France are quite outraged. They took to Twitter using the hashtag "Don't touch my cross" and actually showed a lot of images of crosses across France, because, of course, there are lots of crosses in France.
Well, that's the thing. One wonders why this cross has come under fire. And it's not just the French that are up in arms.
That's right. Now, actually, Poland has voiced its concern, because this, of course, represents the Pope John Paul II, former Polish citizen. Polish authorities have vowed to save this work of art from the dictates of political correctness. And this piece in Le Figaro also is outraged by political correctness gone a little bit too far. This is a piece by the Catholic commentator Eugénie Bastier. Now, she is a very conservative commentator, but her piece here reflects what I guess a lot of Catholics feel in France, and that's that the state is on a crusade against them, and all this, so they're trying to get rid of Catholicism in public space, but leaving more space for Islam. That's what her opinion here. So, as I said, controversial opinion, but what many Catholics feel.
Okay, let's move on to maybe a less controversial topic. And Le Parisien has a special report about what's happening on the street, particularly in the gutter.
The aquatic life in the gutters of Paris is incredibly rich, according to Le Parisien. Now, it's no Great Barrier Reef, but it has drawn the attention of scientists, and researchers from France's National Scientific Research Center have actually made an inventory of all the aquatic life in the gutters of Paris. They actually counted nearly 7,000 species of microorganisms just under your feet. Now, this is much more than, a nerdy scientific fact. It could actually bring a lot of hope in Paris's fight against pollution, because scientists, for instance, found that there's an algae that can capture carbon dioxide and produce oxygen, so that could actually help Paris get rid of its pollution. So you can see here they're wondering, could the gutter be the solution in terms of lungs for Paris?
I love it, Florence. I'm going to look at those gutters in a whole new light as I walk home later on today. Florence Vivino with the French Paper Press Review. Thanks much for that.